Henry McClure live. A friend of mine just texted me a link to a TK magazine article about bringing back the Boulevard. So the Boulevard, I have a lot of history with the Boulevard, and who created the Boulevard was Mace Siegel and Dana Anderson. They originally put it was called Arlen's, which was a discount department store that they put all over the Midwest. Then after a while, it evaporated and it turned into uh, and I don't know the exact genesis. I don't know when it was called Half Price Store or Richmond Gordman, but Richmond Gordman, I think it was always one company and it just kind of kept evolving. They changed the name and just rebranded it, but I always think it was the same people. And that would be a good thing for Tim Rancher to look into because he's a big history geek and he's good at it. So, what I'm telling you is that um, Dana K had to go to KDOT to get the light put in at 32nd and uh, uh, Topeka Boulevard. And as time went on, we eventually made deals with the uh, the department store that had all of that land. And what's interesting about that deal is they turned down 29th and Wanamaker. So to try to give you the Reader's Digest version of this, eventually we put in the movie theater. And if any of my Mace Rich buddies are there watching, you got to know that was Chuck DeMartin's dad. In fact, Chuck DeMartin was an award-winning architect. Never seen a bigger chain smoker, except maybe Larry Eaton. Chuck DeMartin, Larry Eaton might have been the biggest chain smokers I'd ever known. But so we had we had Gordman's or Richmond Gordman's. We had the theater, and then eventually we made deals with Steak and Ale and uh, the Bennigan's. So Mace Rich basically made the Boulevard in the beginning. I mean, I don't know when the McDonald's once, and I'm not saying they invented the Boulevard, but I'm telling you, they've had a key role in it. In the heyday, so why do I know this information? Because in the day, retailers used to have to report their sales to us because their leases were based on a percentage of sales. You paid a minimum rent here and you paid a percentage over the base sales number. And the whole idea is that's to make the landlord want to put deals there that increase volume. So you want to have restaurants by the theater. We feel um, our anchor department store at one time there, and so I'm not, I think pretty sure it was Richmond Gordman at the time, did 14.5 million in sales. Um, the Bennigan's did 3.5 million, probably all selling Monte Cristo sandwiches. And then you had Steak and Ale in the theater. Steak and Ale did 2.9 million, and I don't really know what the theater volume was because a theater really all it is, they kind of break even on the ticket sales, but it's just a concession stand. That's all you're really getting. Uh, so if you want to know who's bringing back the Boulevard, besides John Parker at Mainline Printing, uh, it's Sterling Scott. And this whole thing, this Kent Lammers dude, his office is just down the street. I mean, walking distance. I called that guy several times. Dude would never meet with me. And you know what? I took it personally. It's okay. I did talk to this Kent Lammers guy the other day. Not Kent, the lawyer fella, Chuck Ingle. So, like, hey, there's a sign on our property. Bringing back, you're bringing back the boulevard. Well, what the hell have you done? Where were you when I needed you? When I'm tearing down the travelers? I mean, think about it. Topeka Police Department put their leaned into this thing, and we had the building vacant. The day I'm talking to Jetto, I'm getting turned down, and that day that Baldy Neil Dobler was making me a fool, marching these people up. We don't have money. We don't have money. Um, bring back the boulevard. If I told you what's going on right now, you'd believe it. I mean, this town, nobody reports the real news. What's going on? I can't wait till I can read the depositions of this fella, Steve Wade. Man, this is Peyton Place. Okay, so we collectively go in and we're trying to get, as we're redeveloping, once we sold the Gordman's building and 5 acres to Mainline, who just like, who had to endure, Mainline had to endure um, the code violations for so long. And nobody really stepped up. I remember that Chuck Gerber fella who's famous. You know what? He was videotaping himself in the Shawnee or wherever. That's what he. I think that's what the dude did every day at work here in Topeka. That dude. Uh, Someday I'll talk to. I'll go make a live video. But Chuck, this Doug Gerber, you know, I submitted to the city the reciprocal easement agreement and between the parties because Grant Glenn and I wrote it. I was working for I was